Alaikum, bro.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm just blown away, bro. This is the first time in the history of the three Muslims where we are legit starting off with an actual disclaimer on a live stream.
Yeah, yeah,
Subhanallah. But as I've mentioned before, anyone that is not of age, anyone that's young, this is not an issue that I want all of these kids to be watching. I don't want parent notes from moms and all that after this. But that being said, being a sensitive topic, let's go on. Bismillah. So a lot of people that are on the internet, and you should know about this because it's literally currently happening. But those that don't, Rami, are you aware of what's happening with Drake?
yeah. So it's actually like you said, all over the internet. And firstly, again, viewer discretion is advised. But essentially, what happened was Drake took home a model and ended up sleeping with her. And what he did was he took the condom, he put hot sauce in it so it would kill the sperm, and then he threw it away. And then what happened was the model actually had this plan that she would go and take the sperm from the condom and impregnate herself
Hmm.
to essentially have Drake's child. So that 9 months, she can probably go and claim child support and like all this stuff from him. But obviously, because he had filled it with hot sauce or put hot sauce in it, it killed the sperm and ended up, hurting her. So she screamed and everything. And then the jig was up, basically. But now, as a result of that, she's actually suing Drake.
This is Subhanallah. Listen, bro, you are right. I just want to quickly add that apparently they were just talking on Instagram, right? So Drake and this IG model, they're just talking on Instagram, doing what they do, and they wanted to meet up. So I believe they went out, for like dinner or whatever. And he took her back to his room, and it was very consensual from all the reports, including the reports from her, because I want you to understand that Drake till now has not addressed this issue. He's not even acknowledged it. He's not even given it any type of credence. This is just from the testimony of the IG model.
Mhm.
So it's very consensual. There was nothing forced, anything like that. They did whatever these two people would have done, behind closed doors, but now everyone knows about it. And once he finished, he disposed the condom like anyone would, and he was just chilling. And she goes to the washroom. He hears a scream. He's probably thinking she hurt herself or something happened. He went to go check, and not to his surprise, this is what she was doing. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I highly doubt this is the first time Drake did this, because he's probably not trying to have a random woman just get a millionaire baby daddy just like that. Whether or not this was her first time doing it, I don't know. But whatever she did, this was clearly stupid, because forget about, bacterial vaginosis and all these other issues that she could get with the hot sauce. She probably didn't know. She was probably way too caught up in just how do I secure this bag, that she didn't even look down or wasn't even paying attention to what she was actually putting inside her. And this is what happened. Now, this is going, completely viral, because everyone's like, okay, who's to blame? What's going on? And now she is suing him. So, Rami, based on what I told you so far, all right, I just want to ask you a very simple question. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear all this? And I gave you both sides too. I'm trying to keep it very neutral, very balanced.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is that Islam would have fixed all of this. That's the first thing I think about.
100%.
Islam would have prevented all of this stuff. In terms of the actual cases themselves, I guess that's, as the brother said, she tried to catch a case and still got one, but not the one she wanted. Yeah, so basically what she committed was something called sperm theft, which is basically when you try and coerce or trick a man or take whatever means necessary to impregnate yourself with a man's sperm beyond
Mm.
his, consent. This could come in the form of lying to him, saying you're on the pill, or lying to him and saying that you've undergone this,
I've,
that,
I've
the
heard
other.
some poking holes, bro.
Yeah, poking holes in the condom as well. And this would be another example. It's actually not legally a crime as far as I know, but it is wrong nonetheless.
Hmm.
When you're talking about consent theory, there has to be room for this within consent theory, because Drake obviously did not consent, and they both knew that, a condom was being used and all of that. So, yeah. But how about you? Like, when you think of this, what do you think of?
Before I address that, I had a quick question, bro. So you're saying this is not currently like a crime?
As far as I know, legally, sperm theft is not considered a crime. As far as I know.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, and it's messed
That's
up.
it is
It's
messed
really
up
messed
because,
up.
bro, think about it like this. Forget all of the variables aside before we get into Islam and all this. If a man sleeps with a woman and they want to use contraceptives, they both consensually agreed to doing the act with the contraceptive, and now all of a sudden she wants that. So, to me, it's kind of dishonest and unethical. But I'm not
Yeah,
surprised because I'm sure these IG models and I'm sure this is not the first time
yeah,
she's thought of doing sperm theft. I don't know if this is the first time she's done it. Definitely not the first time.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and
yeah,
my first thought, bro, when I heard about all this, is as strange as this sounds. I know this is gonna sound super strange,
yeah,
but the world we live in with the laws and the legal system and all this,
yeah,
she might. There's a small chance, but she might actually win this settlement.
yeah,
This is my first thought. It's such a strange thing to, and I know, guys. I wish the judge, the prosecutor, whoever's dealing with this case, has the common sense that we all do here. But there's still a chance that she might actually win this settlement,
yeah,
and that's the strange thing about today's time.
yeah. Yeah, 100%. This is the problem, and people might be wondering why are we even addressing such a thing. And we're not a drama news channel. We're not just here to report what's going on in the news. We're not freaking drama alert or anything like that, bro. There's no Keemstar up here, alhamdulillah. But yeah, it is a big topic. And people, I think the problem is people don't realize how big of a topic it actually is. We're not just here to talk about what happened in Drake. We don't care about him and his life. We don't care about the IG model. We don't care about any of that. We're here to talk about the underlying issue that there is to all of this, which is the law of the West, their philosophy, their ideologies, their ways of life, and that they have a system that allows for such a thing, and that we have a social system that allows for such a thing. Why do people hate polygyny and promote unlawful activity? That's honestly, that is an amazing question. That is
We'll
an
get into that. We'll get
amazing
into that.
question. Yes, inshallah, we will get there. But we have to start at base one, which is what is the main issue? The main issue is that people are choosing a way of life. They're choosing laws, they're choosing a legal system and a social system and certain morals and values that does not come from someone who is all knowing and all wise. It comes from people with desires, with a bias, with a lack of information. This is who it's coming from inevitably. So, are these people really qualified to choose how we should live life wholesomely and how we should rule our land and what laws we should have? Clearly not, because not even every person in the society is going to agree to that. So, what kind of democracy do you really have if you're leaving out a huge chunk of the minority? Out of the equation to be able to say what they believe. And what about the other legal systems in different religions that people, attest to having and want to have, like Muslims having Sharia law? We don't have Sharia courts in the West to be able to deal with things like this according to Islam. So,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I want to pass the mic on so I don't keep chatting
Let's
on.
let's start this at ground zero. So Drake not being a Muslim, this IG model not being a Muslim, all of this aside, where this starts was something that took place because this is where Drake is in his career. Now, I want anyone watching this, they're like, yeah, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that. Listen, we're not here trying to condone what Drake did or the IG model did whatsoever. But what we are saying is anyone that hasn't made it to that level in life in terms of dunya worldly success, because it is not reflective or indicative of your success or value in terms of Allah whatsoever. But in terms of dunya success, fame, money, clout, whatever you want to call it, you don't know how you're gonna act once you get there. So this is not me trying to defend him whatsoever, but I'm saying it's easy to say that when you haven't gotten to that level. Once you have gotten to that level, you have unprecedented amounts of fitna all around you, and it's very easy to slip. So, you know, I also want to address one thing too. All the people that are watching that, they're like, oh, there's Rami, you know about MGTOW, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, men going their own way. Listen, this is to all the MGTOW people watching this. This is proof, bro, that MGTOW is not, it's nonsensical. It makes no sense. Because no matter where you are, a man and a woman, they're always gonna want to get intimate. This is reality. There's no, and I don't care what you say, I don't need women, or women saying I don't need men. This is gonna happen no matter what.
yeah,
All we are saying is things like this are what's gonna happen if you don't follow a proper way of life. Following a proper way of life eliminates all of this from multiple facets that we're gonna get into. But just looking at what happened, bro, this wouldn't have happened. I agree with you. This is something completely. This it's kind of like these are the games you got to play, bro. You got to
Yeah.
regularly get checked for HIV. You got to regularly, put hot sauce. The Frank's hot sauce slogan is literally I put that on everything. So they weren't kidding, bro. And subhanAllah, look at what's happening, bro.
Yes, subhanAllah. And you mentioned that, when someone gets to that level, like, the fitna they go through and everything, and obviously it's not, condoning what he did. I want to give, and again, we don't care about Drake. Honestly, we don't care about Drake. We think him and everyone else should be a Muslim and, live in the way that God has instructed us to live so that we don't commit atrocities and injustices against ourselves and other people. But if you look to the Quran, you see Surah Yusuf, and you see Yusuf alayhi salam is narrated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by the Prophet ﷺ, that he was the most, basically the most beautiful man to exist. So the fitna that he had was a lot worse, I would say, than what Drake had. And I'm willing to say this because he was like a very, very good looking man, mashallah. And on top of that, he was actually the servant of a certain man and a woman, whereas the woman would always be there with him constantly. The same woman, and she actively wanted to seduce him and try him over and over and over and over and over. But what did he say when she locked him in a room and said that, like, this is going to happen, you're not going to say no? What did he say? He said, Ma'adallah. He said, I fear Allah. And he literally bolted out the door. He ran out the door. So, I mean, obviously, we're not saying what Drake did is good. No, bro, we don't care about Drake or anyone else or what they do. We're saying, Ma'adallah. We fear Allah. I fear Allah. You run out that door. But the bigger issue, as Fayed mentioned, is that we live in a society where this kind of stuff is okay, where you have men and women just completely free mixing all the time. And because of that, you have promiscuity. And because of promiscuity, you have high STDs and HIV and all these sexually transmitted diseases that go about in society because everyone's sleeping around with different people. Now, on top of that, you have so many hearts getting broken. People don't know what love is. And we've actually developed this breakup mentality that when it's not going my way, I will just leave them, break up with them, and find someone else. That's the main reason, I would say, why marriages don't work, because people, and a lot of the time, women, they have this mentality that, he's not meeting my high expectations that and the standards that society tells me I should have for myself and for him. So I'm going to leave him and either be lonely the rest of my life or find someone else. All of these things are huge contributing factors to horrible diseases we have, like high divorce rates and promiscuity and all that stuff, pornography, or maybe I shouldn't say that, but addictions and all
I mean,
that
bro,
stuff.
at this rate, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
we're not talking about a topic like this
done
without
already.
getting demonetized, bro. No way.
Yeah,
So,
it's so like
plug,
addictions and all that stuff.
because it got demonetized, check right there. Support us or wherever it is right there. 3 Muslims on Patreon, but for real content. Anyway, bro, carry on.
Yeah, so contributing to all these diseases in society and stuff. So what is the solution? The solution is Islam. People think that, either you're a liberal, or either you're left wing or you're right wing. Either you're a capitalist or a communist, socialist. People don't know that there's a middle ground, Islam. And Islam has its own political theory, it has its own legislative theory, it has its own economic theory, its own social theory. And these aren't theories. To us, they're fact because they come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And within there, we have a society where you don't have this promiscuity. You don't have, gender is just free mixing like this, and in a place where groping takes place and sexual assaults take place. And all of these atrocities, rape and all that stuff, it's not that they never happen. Obviously, they do occur, and you can never fully stop it unless you completely isolate people 100% of the time. But it allows for it on a very minuscule scale. And on top of that, the punishment is a lot more severe. So people, the men, are less likely to do it. And the women in this case, who would commit adultery or whatever, sperm theft and all that stuff, would be less likely to do it. Because in Islamic country, the punishment for adultery, sex outside of marriage, whether you're married or not married, is severe. So a woman would not want to get pregnant when she's not married, because that would basically be proving to everyone that she had sex outside of marriage, which would beget some kind of punishment for her. So no matter how you look at it, Islam would not allow for such atrocities to exist in the first place, but our society does, and that's something we need to deal with.
Now, before we go into all the multiple facets of Islam, I want to quickly mention right now to all the viewers wondering where's Anho, bro? Where the heck is Anho? Anho is currently moving. He's moving his permanent residence to somewhere that we're not going to disclose right now, obviously, because he's not here. I don't want to talk about that without him here. So when he's ready to come back on the channel, we'll talk about that, where he is, where he's moving to, how long he's going to be there, so on and so forth. Uh, and by the way, guys, just a quick disclaimer: our live stream time might change now because of very difference in time zone. Me and Rami are still, at the same time zone, alhamdulillah. Okay, Bismillah, before we go in, I want to preface this by saying, continuing off of what you were saying, Rami, they don't have the systems in place here because they also misunderstand the systems that we want in place. A lot of men that are supporting Drake in this, right? They might be a part of whatever movement that you want to call it. They might think, okay, you guys are talking about marriage, cool. But we don't want marriage. Look at the West. Look at the divorce settlement laws. Look at, the woman always takes half, regardless of what she did. Look at all the false rape allegations and false rape convictions. Look at Kamala Harris keeping all those men in prison, knowing that they were wrongfully convicted. This is reality. So why would I want to get in a marriage with a woman now? What if she leaves me anyway? What if this happens? And what they fail to understand is legally constituted marriage is very different than a religious constitution of marriage, right? I'm not saying you can't have both, which, you should have both, but they're very different things. Multiple reasons we talked about. You can check out all of our episodes with Brother Gabriel or Sheikh Faras Al Hamadi, but we're not going to get too deep into that right now. But multiple reasons, they're completely different. And I know a lot of you are going to say, okay, men are naturally polygamous, or some men naturally want to have multiple women. Look at what's happening in the West. They're cheating. They're doing this. They're having mistresses, side things, whatever you call it. But reality is, in Islam, there's a solution for that. We have polygyny. Now, in Islam, it's not that we can't have monogamy. You can have monogamy if you want to, but polygyny is always an option, right? Polygyny is permissible and it's from Allah. This prevents all these things that are happening, like cheating and sleeping around and doing things under people's noses and all that. But these are just some of the things that I want to bring up before we go on.
Yeah, so just to kind of piggyback off that point, I want to mention something for the sisters as well, because yes, as men, we're going to understand men in the situations they find themselves in, like, when a man ends up getting divorced despite being, the best man he could be, and then half his stuff is taken, and even if he has a prenup, even that's like kind of fishy business, hard to deal with, and all of that. So his stuff, basically, he feels like it's stolen from him, and his wife, or his ex-wife now, moves on with another man, and he's heartbroken, all that stuff. Men do experience that pain tremendously, and a lot of sisters feel very similarly when it comes to men, where, like, for example, when both of them get older, the man may actually get more attractive and the woman gets less attractive, and then the man ends up leaving her, divorcing her, leaving her with nothing essentially except the mahar that she asked for, which maybe it was $50,000, maybe it was a kitten, Allahu alam, and he ends up marrying someone else, so on and so forth. There's many problems in today's society as a whole surrounding marriage and divorce and all of that, because of the certain laws that we have in place, that a woman basically ends up being entitled to half your stuff. Well, who said that? And that it's not mandatory for a woman to be given a dowry, and there's no such standard for a dowry. And when a woman even ends up being divorced, that the man should at least still take care of her for a certain amount of time, and he's definitely obligated to take care of his children, and so on and so forth. You find all these issues, like women ending up picking and choosing, kind of like, I want a man to support me and financially, and to make money. I don't have to pay bills, I don't have to do anything, but I'm not going to cook, I'm not going to clean, I'm not going to be the traditional wife. He's going to be a traditional man. You have them picking and choosing because it's natural for a woman to want to be taken care of by a man, and that's a beautiful thing. We say that 100%. Women shouldn't have to work. If they want to, go for it. You start a business, go for it. Allah has given you that right, go for it. But we believe that the men should be the ones working, providing, and that the women just do a lot better of a job nurturing, taking care of children, and so on and so forth. So we think that this is the best way to live. But since society and people, especially on the legislative level, want to ignore these basic differences that we have and act like everyone's normal, and whether you have this genital or that genitalia or whatever, it doesn't make a difference. We're honestly out of whack here, to be completely honest.
Literally, bro.
It's something we need to work on.
Literally, bro. Like, one channel or another. This is reality, bro, ladies and gentlemen, that whatever Rami's saying, the reason it's facts is, I'm not just, we're not just giving you reasons and saying, believe this. It makes sense, it's sensical. But if you don't believe us, go look at what's happening. Go the other way. Do the opposite of what we're saying. We don't advise that, obviously, but do it and see where it gets you, bro. This is the West. And marriage, bro. I want to add to your point about marriage. Marriage isn't something as like big of a deal, as in the kuffar. When I say big of a deal, it's still important, but it's not. There's not so much emphasis. It's very normal. It's very simple. The
Yeah.
Prophet ﷺ said the difference between halal and haram: mahr, two witnesses, and a wali.
Yeah.
Simple. This is not some big grand gesture proposal. You got to date for 9 years, then you got to vet her, and you still got to vet her. I'm not saying don't vet her now, but this whole 9-10 year thing, this BS that you see, and no one's saying that you should get into marriages that simply in Islam, but I'm saying it's very simple. Divorce is permissible. There's roles and responsibilities. It's very clear cut. There's no if something happens and you leave, that you have to give her half. And then for women, there's no like, okay, you're gonna have to be expected to do what a man does. There's none of this. It's fair for both parties. It's very natural. It's very normal to our fitrah. But what do you have when you have a society where marriage is sought out to be some weird thing? SubhanAllah, bro. All the kuffar friends I have from uni, most of them are in long-term relationships with a girl for like 5+ years, but they're still not married. How does like I don't blame them, bro, because they see marriage to be this huge commitment where I'm just like, bro, I know couples in Islam that are married for like a week or two, and Allah might love them more than people that are just dating or together for 10 years because they have the blessing and the barakah from Allah. It's not just I found a girl and let me just test it out and whatever.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And if you look at Islam compared to the West, you'll find so many differences, subhanAllah. And these differences are not just like, oh, we believe this, and they believe that. These differences are like, this is why our societies were better when we had an Islamic Khalifa and Khilafah system and all of that. This is why our societies thrived for so long. The Islamic Ummah was thriving for probably over 1,000 years. It's because we had this beautiful way of life. And we look at society, people are wondering what gender they are. People are questioning what gender they are, even though they were born a very specific way. So look at the West, and let's go to the root of the problem. And first, before I do that, I want to point something out, that the West will teach you that you have one true love. You have one true love who you should fight through thick and thin to be with, and they're perfect for you and you're perfect for them, and you will have your happily ever after, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, let's address that, bro. This one-idist thing you're talking about, this is something I've seen growing up, bro. There's only one true love.
Yeah, and this is the big honestly lie, a fairy tale. Like, bro, you're not Cinderella, I'm not Prince Charming, we're not amazing like fairies running around putting magic dresses and heels on people. Listen, this is real life. This is the real world. In the real world, there's no such thing as the one true, perfect, only person. And at the same time, society's preaching that. They're also preaching that you should try and test and trial different people in relationships. And if they don't meet this standard of yours, which is like all the way up here, then kick them to the curb and go to the next person, whether you're a man or a woman. This is exactly, so how is society teaching that you have one, but also having this breakup culture and this divorce culture? It's the most atrocious thing ever. And where is this rooted? This is rooted in liberalism. And what is liberalism? I'm not just going around calling people libtards and all that stuff. No, liberalism is the belief. It's a way of life. It's a way of thinking. It's a principle. It's a belief that I should do whatever brings me pleasure. A lot of the time, physical pleasure, as long as I'm not, causing anyone harm. Now, there's two huge issues with this. One, how do you know that something that's pleasuring you in the moment is not going to hurt you in the long run? And then what you have there, you just have a paradox that you maximize pleasure, minimize pain. But what if that pleasure now causes you pain in the future? What kind of paradox is that? And what if what seems to harm you now, like let's say that you've been drinking and you want to stop drinking for your long-term health, but it actually causes you some kind of depression and sadness in the moment, because giving up is a really hard thing to do when you're addicted. Well, do you say, well, no, I need that pleasure now? This is short-term gratification versus long-term gratification. And we live in a society that propagates this belief. So when you have, millions of people going around doing what pleases them physically, not putting the greater good of society as a whole on the top level in terms of their priority, then of course you're going to have cases like this. Of course you're going to have people that they just look to sleep around, like, oh, I'm going to use you and get my pleasure from you, and then when I find someone else that I can use and I don't need you anymore, I don't feel like I need you, I will kick you to the curb and I will go to that person, then do the same thing to them until eventually it's done to me, and then I do it on a larger scale because I'm even more pissed off now, and it just keeps going until a person dies.
Clickbait. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Rami, you're right, bro. Hurt people hurt people. This is the cycle. The abused becomes the abuser. When are people going to realize that the systems they have in place, the standard operating procedure SOP that they're following in the West, man-made, is not really what's natural for us. It's not from our creator. It's not something that's sustainable. There's no wisdom in it. There's no hikmah in it. It's not from Allah. It's evident. It's self-evident. But people keep thinking, okay, no, maybe it's the one. And I wanna take this opportunity to just say, the media is extremely responsible for this, bro. The media is extremely responsible. You have girls reading these romance novels and fairy tales, having this one guy that is clearly not for them, but they think they can change him because she's so great that she can defy, male sexuality or male proclivities, that, at the end, he turns into Prince Charming and he actually becomes a good guy when he shouldn't have been someone that she gets with anyway. And, we get into this culture where people are taking things into their own hands. The egocentrism of men and women today, by far, unprecedented levels, bro. People think that it's all selfish, bro. I can turn this person into who I want to turn into, I can make this marriage work. Maybe I'm so smart that I don't need to pray istikhara, or I don't need to, you look at signs from Allah, or I don't need to go to someone else. I'm so smart that I know this person that I see as a potential candidate, I know they're my soulmate. I know I'm going to last with them forever. We're never going to break up. We're going to love each other forever, and nothing's going to happen. Then you have stuff where you put so much emphasis and so much of your happiness in someone, where you don't look at them as a spouse, you look at them as a part of you. And what happens when someone's a part of you, when they leave and they walk away, which is very natural, in reality, that you feel like you're missing a part of yourself. You feel like you lost a part of yourself. But the issue was you let them become a part of your identity too soon. Now, this isn't a podcast about love and wholeness and any of this, so we'll spare you all that emotional stuff. But how this links to this is all these people that are committing zina, trying to keep, finding the one, because don't give me this whole, zina culture. And look at actors, look at people that have made it. They can have any girl they want, they can have any man they want, yet they're still married, right? So everyone wants companionship. Everyone wants that spouse or spouses if you're a man. But it's like, until you find that, if you think, you're just going to find, success everywhere you go, every person you sleep with, you're not going to find reality, and you're not going to find fulfillment that way. You think you might, but you're not going to find it that way. For all the women that are watching this, that's with a man, and, the man is not serious about you and not committed to you, he hasn't come to your father, he's not down to take you seriously and commit, why are you with him? Actions speak louder than words. I know you might think, he says he loves me though, he says he'll do this, but he never does. Well, here's the thing, he never does. And for all the men that are with women, that she keeps doing things that crosses the line or displeases you and makes you unhappy, and you say, oh, it was just that one time or this. Nah, bro, like, accept that you might not be with the right person and that Allah has something better for you, but you might not get that because you're too scared to hold on to what you think is right for you.
Yeah, that is very true. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in the Quran that you may love a thing which is bad for you, and you may hate a thing that is good for you. You don't know, and Allah knows. There's your answer right there. You don't know. You feel, you think, you desire, but you don't know. And that's the problem. You think that your thoughts are you knowing. You think that your desires are you knowing. That's not purpose. That's not fact. That's not truth. That's not knowing what's actually best for you. That's just desire. People might desire, to do drugs or to drink. Is that what's good for them? People might desire to go harm people in society. Some people actually do. Is that actually something that's good? No. So what we desire is not actually what's always best for us. Sometimes it is. But this is the key. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us. He says, you have these desires. You have them. you can only fulfill them in a way that I say is permissible, in a way that I say is best. So you have sexual desires, you can only fulfill them through marriage, through nikah, with a man and a woman. It's the only way it's allowed. Any other way, it's not allowed.
Rami, look at this. Address this, bro.
The word zina means rape or sexual force. Nowhere in the Quran is this father mandated for a relationship.
Like the wali. What?
Where is this coming from? So you're telling me that Abu Bakr didn't give Aisha in marriage. You're telling me that the Prophet ﷺ didn't give Fatima in marriage. You're telling me that the Prophet ﷺ didn't specifically say that to have a nikah, you need a wali. You need the permission of the wali and the approval of the wali. And zina meaning just sexual force or rape. How about the woman who went to the Prophet والسلام, and said, I committed zina? Is she saying that she raped a man?
Which does happen, by the way, but we're just saying statistically.
Yeah, and I'm saying back then. Back then, she didn't have a drug to drug him and make him drowsy.
Yeah, back then, when men were burying their daughters.
Yeah, like where are you getting this from, bro? Well, you're the one operating off of culture, a liberal culture. You're operating off of a liberal culture, actually. So you really need to check that and go ask a scholar.
Bro, it might be a hadith rejector, bro.
Maybe. Allahu A'lam. Allahu A'lam. Bro, actually, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, back to the topic, inshallah. I'm telling you that.
Still don't know what he means by mandated, bro.
Quran. Listen, so I think they are a hadith rejector. You want the Quran, I'll give you the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that we have revealed this book, we have revealed the Quran so that you, the Prophet, can explain it to them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He also says in the Quran that they will never be true believers. They will never fully believe until they make you, the Prophet, a judge between them in all their affairs, all their disputes, and find no discomfort in their heart when you give a ruling, and submit with full submission. The only way you do that today is with the hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him. And what does he say? He teaches us exactly what zina is and the punishment for zina, as it's mentioned in the Quran. He teaches us what nikah is and the conditions for nikah, as mentioned by the Prophet in the hadith. And if you reject it, then honestly, you're not a Muslim, to be completely honest, because you're going against the Quran here at this point.
That's the thing. And then, bro, in the Sharia, in the legal jurisprudence of Islam, authentic hadith hold the same equivalent legislative authority as any ayah from the Quran. Any ayah from the Quran. This is facts. Nowhere am I saying they're equal in terms of who it's from. No, one's from Allah, one's narrations from the Prophet. But in terms of Islam, they're just as authoritative in the court. Yeah, bro. Anyway, did we cover most of the points that were on your mind in terms of this whole Drake issue? How Islam is literally the antidote to all of this fahisha that's going on.
Yeah, I think we did. I just want to mention something in the beginning. There are a lot of people who were kind of questioning, why are you talking about this? That was an Islamic podcast and all that. And these same people, may Allah bless them, these same people took a complete 180 and they're now agreeing with us and back to whatever they were saying before. Just guys, assume the best. Always assume the best and look for the best. And don't be so quick to jump to conclusions, because this is another concept that we have in our society, this cancel culture and this whole I got a little waft, a little scent of something I don't like, let me completely condemn this person. Just be more careful, inshallah. Other than that, I think everything, alhamdulillah, has been said. Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, bro. All right, so anyone has any questions, any inquiries? We got about 20-ish minutes left, so we're gonna address these questions, and then we got Jummah.
Yes.
Rami, bro, what time is Jummah today?
1:30.
1:30. Alhamdulillah, bro. It's 1:45 for us.
MashaAllah. Cutting it close, man.
Sister writes, I couldn't believe my eyes when I read the title. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it's come to, bro. Or sis, or this is what it is. I'm surprised because when I read it, I found out on Twitter, bro. I don't know about you, But when I found out, I was like, bro, this has to be one of those jokes, bro, or like just like a fake accusation or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
Okay, Sister Bush writes, what are the advantages and disadvantages of polygyny? Okay, so first thing, let me pin that up right there. I want to get this off before, Rami, let me know if I miss anything, all right? So the main advantage of polygyny, main advantage, and when I say main, I'm just, from me, there's no, there's no hierarchy, right? So for all the advantages of polygyny, for anyone watching, what is polygyny even, right? Because we got to address this first. There's polygamy and polygyny. Polygamy with an M at the end instead of an N is just sleeping with multiple people, having relations with multiple people, having intercourse with multiple people, or marrying multiple people, whatever you want to call it. It's just person with multiple people. Or it could be multiple people with multiple people. That's like polyamory and all this. We're not getting into this. Polygyny with an N is one man having multiple women. Okay, we're not introducing Islam yet, right? This is just the word linguistically what polygyny means: one man with multiple women. The advantages of polygyny, if done right in Islam, which is one man with a maximum of 4 women, all of those women get security. So in the traditional monotheistic, not monotheistic, what am I saying? Monogamy, because we're still monotheistic. Monogamy, which is in the kuffar, and it's a very new phenomenon, right? It's a very selfish thing too. If you want to enforce it, when you have monogamy, you're guaranteeing that one woman has provisioning. You are guaranteeing it. Alhamdulillah. There's nothing wrong with that. When you have polygyny, you are guaranteeing up to 4 women have provisioning from that one man. Okay, if done correctly. Another benefit is men are naturally polygamous. Men have natural polygamous tendencies. Nowhere am I saying men can't do monogamy. Men can, of course, do monogamy. But when men have this natural proclivity, this higher testosterone, this higher sex drive, and they have, a natural tendency to want variety and more, outlets. And I'm just saying it as it is because no other channel will say it like this. But when men want that, and you expect them to be monogamous, it's going against our fitra, guys. It's going against our nature. You denying polygamy is you denying Islam. Or sorry, polygyny is denying Islam. Because Allah has made it permissible for us. It is the sunnah. So when you look at, polygyny, it allows men a healthy way of practicing this sexual inclination without cheating, adultery, fornication, zina, all of this, fahisha. Furthermore, an advantage of polygyny is you still guarantee lineage, your heredity, your paternity, right? So when you look at polyandry, and a lot of women will say, why can't women have 4 husbands, right? Let's assume a woman has 4 husbands, all right? She has 4 husbands, which is very smart, by the way, because once she gets pregnant, she's out of commission for 9 months. So very smart. In 9 months, she has a kid. She doesn't know who's the father. She doesn't know. So there's scientific primary peer-reviewed literature to show that kids that grow up without assurance of paternity, as in knowing who their father is, more likely to get into a lot of societal diseases. We'll leave it at that. But the kid doesn't know because how will they? The mother doesn't even know because the mother had 4 partners. Now I know today in the modern world we have paternity tests. That's besides the point. That's not what I'm talking about. A woman, when she gives birth to a kid, son or daughter, she knows 100% that's her kid. There's no doubt in her mind that that's her kid, right? Because it literally came out of her. A man can never get that guarantee. I know even if a man has a wife and it's like monogamy, just one man and one woman, he never has that assurance of paternity the same way that she has the guarantee of maternity because she knows the baby came out of her. He doesn't know if that's his. It could be, but now when you add 3 more men into that mix, it's a 25% chance at most that it's his, right? So that's one point. That's one disadvantage of polyandry and one advantage of polygamy. Polygyny. Polygyny offers the same assurance of paternity that monogamy does. It's still 100% because when you have one man and multiple women, all the women know it's hers because it came out of them, and the man knows it's his because he's the only man, right? If done properly. If no cheating and all this, and hospital switching and all this stuff that goes on. So That's one advantage. Rami, can you think of any other advantages that I might have missed aside from this?
No, I would just kind of like go over what you mentioned if you don't have anything more to add.
Sorry?
I just kind of want to reiterate some things you mentioned, but if you have more to add, I'll wait till you're done.
I really don't think there's much more things I could think of for advantages of that. And also it gives women that might not find partners and might not have an easy time finding partners a partner.
Yeah.
It gives everyone companionship at the end of the day. But yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
One, bro.
100%. Yeah. And we can talk about the wisdoms behind it. Jazakallah khair, sister. May Allah bless you immensely.
Jazakallah khair, sis.
Allah
Always tuning in every week. May Allah bless you for
Mashallah.
blessing us.
I mean, Ya Rab. طيب, so you can look at the wisdoms forever. You can even argue that, like, there would be less divorced women, because if a man can marry 4 wives, then he'd be more likely to marry at least one divorcee or one widow, or whereas if he was married one woman, he's less likely to marry a divorced woman, a widowed woman, and all of that, so on and so forth. So you can argue all these things, but essentially, when we say polygyny, we're talking about, again, what it Islamically entails, meaning that a man, he pays mahr 4 times to 4 different women. He takes care of 4 different women. He houses 4 different women and the children and the kids. So there's more halal, less haram, more Muslim children, and less children born out of wedlock, and so on and so forth. So any blessing that you could see in monogamy, one marriage, you could see that times 4.
This is not 4 girlfriends like he's saying, not 4 side chicks. 4 women you take responsibility and accountability for. From who?
Yes.
In the eyes of Allah, first and foremost.
Mm-hmm. And in an Islamic country, under the Sharia law as well.
100%.
Because here, you can promise a woman that you'll pay her a 50k mahr and then just never do it and be held accountable by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In an Islamic country, they will make sure you pay that. Under Sharia law, that's like a legal obligation upon you now, because you said you would do that and you signed off on it and everything.
100%. All right. Now, disadvantages of polygyny. Wow, this is a loaded question. So I'm trying to think, bro. Let me know if you could think of any. The only disadvantage I could think of polygyny is when it's not done right.
I was going to say the same exact thing.
Yeah, because you see a lot of things where men are favoring one wife over another wife, and they're giving one wife more rights. Pause. That ain't Islam. So that shouldn't happen in the first place. That's like saying, oh, what if I marry someone and he turns out to be an alcoholic? Therefore, marriage is bad. It's the same reasoning. Marriage is not bad. You're equivocating 2 things that are not, the premises are not related whatsoever with one another. So you cannot say that, oh, I did polygyny, or my mom did polygyny, and I saw what it did to her, the look on her eyes when my dad stayed with the other woman 5 times a week and gave her more love and time and all. That's not polygyny, my friend. That's not polygyny done properly, the Islamic way. Yeah. So that's one issue. Another issue is when so the first one was a man gives more rights to one wife than the other wives, whether it be in equality or equity. That is not Islamic whatsoever. All right? Can you think of any other ways that people might misuse or not do polygyny correctly, bro?
I think that's basically it, because we can't, even as Muslims, we can't even try and argue that polygyny is bad or has disadvantages in any way, to be honest. Like, imagine arguing anything else has disadvantages, like Salah has disadvantages. Like, can you imagine someone claiming that? Like, it doesn't have any disadvantages unless you as a person believe it's wrong, and it gives you cognitive dissonance, which is what people are taught nowadays, that it's wrong. Or if you're not doing it right, as Brother Fayed said. Other than that, there's no problems.
Facts. Sister Busha, I just want to say Jazakallah khair for your amazing questions. You gave one amazing question. We're going to answer your second one too. And to anyone watching that, there's a ton of comments on the side. We're using StreamYard, so if we don't address your questions, because there's just the sheer number of questions that we're having, if you do want to guarantee your question is answered, send a super chat so I get a notification at the top and I can easily click it, and then I'll pin the message and we'll answer it, inshallah. That being said, Sister Busha writes, as a young adult, I don't understand why society has such a bad mindset to men who choose polygyny, even if done right. Can you explain? So the first thing I want to say is this is when you talk about society, you're talking about culture and cultural norms and the ways of the land and not Allah. Because nowhere in Islam is polygyny something to be shy of or to move away from. When you look at culture, this is a very postmodern culture of monogamy. Monogamy was not a thing even 200 years ago, 100 years ago. Look at the kings, look at the archbishops, look at all the rulers of Europe and all of this. This is not something that's natural. Polygyny was natural. So at that time, when you bring something like, you know, polygyny with even four as a cap, that's weird, because men were having hundreds of women. Men were having no limit on women. So even when you went from that to polygyny with four, that's weird. It's like that's not with the times. Now, fast forward, we're moving to a time where monogamy is the norm. So polygyny with even two would be, it's weird. What are you doing, bro? Why do you need two women? Do you not love her? This is another thing we can get into in another episode that has nothing to do with love, at least for men. Yeah. So it's culture. Culture, they equivocate this. They have bad experiences with this. There's a taboo in the Muslim culture, not with Islam, with intimacy even. We're just talking about sex and talking about these things with your kids. And you look at the Prophet Sallallahu, he was not shy about these, any topics with kids and the youth and in the masajid, talking to them and giving lectures about this. None of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum were shy about these things. Intimacy is something that I think is something to not shy away from, so that you can maintain, our Islamic, the ummah, and propagate it.
Yeah.
But there's so many taboo things. They're shy about this. They don't like to talk about, polygyny and intimacy and all this. So, Allahu alam, bro.
Yeah, very true, subhanAllah. And I mean, with anything we have to ask, where did it come from? This monogamy thing, where did it come from? We actually got it from the Romans, who were non-Muslims, who have committed many atrocities, so on and so forth. So you would have to ask the question that why is monogamy the only thing that's good? And why is polygyny something that's actually bad? Because everyone, we're taught in society that it's wrong, that it's bad. But the truth is, no one can actually prove that. The reason they think it's wrong or bad is because they've already decided that it's not our way. And anything that's not our way is automatically bad. It's honestly the same line of thinking as tribalism, racism. It's not, if it's not from amongst us, then it's not allowed. If you're not liberal, it's not allowed. If it's not democratic, it's not allowed. That's exactly how the West has been for decades now, maybe over a century.
And I believe Catholicism, like modern day mainstream Christianity, is monogamy.
Yeah.
And someone has to fact check me on this too, but you're not allowed to do divorce in Christianity too, till death do your part. So I don't know. A lot of things in Christianity, they're not normal. This episode is not on Christianity, but what we're trying to say, sorry, I don't mean normal, I mean natural, right? In Islam, everything is natural. All these laws, they already resonate within us. They already make sense intuitively, right? For men, having multiple women permissibly in a proper, righteous way, for divorce, for providing for women. Men naturally want to provide for women. This is another thing too. Men don't want a woman providing for them. Women want a man providing for them, but men naturally have this proclivity to provide for a family, to provide for those that he's provisioning for, and to feel respected for that, right? It's not the other way around. Now, this is not saying a woman can't work or can't provide for her family, if she wants to, but the obligation is not there. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How to marry multiple women, any advice? The only advice I'll give you is, if you can't even have success with one woman and run a marriage properly with her, don't even think of multiple women.
Yeah. Listen, the only advice is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran. He says, marry 2, 3, or 4, but if you cannot be just and fair between them, marry only one. Make sure you're ready, basically.
Sheikh, I just want to say, by the way, he's talking about this comment, how to marry multiple women, right? So Sheikh writes, get loads of money. I just want to say that you can have all the money in the world, but you're not going to have a righteous wife necessarily, unless Allah wills that for you. So this is something we talk about in the episode we have with Ali Dawa. So check that out. Just search up the 3 Muslims Ali Dawa on YouTube and see that episode. It's a very good episode for anyone that's currently trying to get married, or they have marriage on their mind, or they just can't find marriage or polygyny or anything. When you have Allah's blessing, when you're fixing your affairs and Allah has, a wife or wives ready for you, that's when you get them. It's not having loads of money. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say money doesn't help. Of course, money helps even with monogamy, even finding the best partner that you can get. Money will help you for dunya worldly things. But we as Muslims, we don't believe that money takes precedence over Allah whatsoever. We don't, in the dunya, money can get you a lot of things. You want to buy a car, you want to do this, of course. When it comes to marriage and finding a righteous spouse that Allah has for you, the only thing that can get you that is Allah. There's no money, there's no, status. Oh, I need a good job. And I know this is a hard pill to swallow because people coming from, the South Asian and maybe the Arab communities where the parents are saying, how are you gonna find a wife? You're not a doctor yet, you're not a lawyer yet. I know it sounds a little crazy. I know people that they've just graduated university at 18, they've gotten a spouse before going to uni. They're still with them 10 plus years, and now they're still together and they're really happy. I know people that are doctors that have 300, 400, 500K income, and they're still not married, bro. They're still not married. In my own family. Like, this is not a surprise, bro. Money doesn't bring you a spouse. Money can bring you women, but money doesn't necessarily bring you a wife.
Yeah. And I also want to mention the flip side with money, that with more money you have more of a chance of that money being spent or earned incorrectly, and that opens a whole other realm of worries. Because when we look at life, we don't just have men and women in marriage, and like there's so much more to life than just married and intergender relationships and all that. Let's say you have billions of dollars, bro. Honestly, I wouldn't even be worried about marriage. I'd be worried about how the billions of dollars are being spent, if I'm giving in charity, if I'm actually helping the ummah with this money. Because to be completely honest, we praise relationships too much. We praise marriage too much. Honestly, it didn't seem like the constitution of marriage is very important Islamically, but it should not be put to a level where it's like it's all that matters to us. There were some scholars that dedicated their life to Islam, either decided they're not going to get married or forgot to get married. Imam Nawawi, rahimahullah, when he was passing away, they asked, why didn't you get married? He said, I forgot. Because he was so focused on the deen of Allah. Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah, when he was asked, why don't you get married? He said, don't waste my time with that. Like, I have the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to focus on, and look at what he ended up producing. So first and foremost, be on like this level where any money you have, you're spending in the way of Allah, and you're focused on earning it in a way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says permissible, and spending in a way that he thinks is best, and then worry about other things in dunya matters and everything.
Alhamdulillah. Rami, bro, I got a physics question from you because my boy Anho is not here today. So if we got 113 viewers on the live stream right now, how many likes should we have?
113?
Yeah.
Let me just calculate it, man. So I have my calculator here.
Yeah.
I got it right.
Okay, now we have 116 viewers. So how many likes should we have?
113 plus 3 times 0.8. Syntax error. About 600.
600. Okay, you heard it here first, bro. Your range of error is also probably like 0, right? So it's like this is the correct answer, like objectively. 600 likes minimum we should have on this video, guys. So what are you doing? Smash the like button. And before we end up the stream, I just want to say one thing. We're not saying live broke. We're not saying don't make money. We want you to make money. Matter of fact, money will get you farther in this dunya in terms of living and being shackled to the system than not having money. It'll give you capability, it will give you freedom, it will give you rights to do what you want to do, right? And not just, oh, should I work at this haram place for a lot of money or do halal for a little money? No, money will prevent all of this. What we're saying is the way that you guys are looking at money is not the way that I want you to look at money. Don't look at money as a means to get farther in terms of worldly affairs if you don't have Allah in the picture already. Allah has to be in the picture. Once that's in place, okay, yeah, then worry about money. Worry about Allah, focus on Allah, pleasing Allah. Money will come naturally. And I'm a testament to this, bro. Rami, I don't know about you, but I experienced this firsthand. When I'm chasing money and I'm chasing the dunya, it's an uphill battle, bro. But when I'm chasing Allah and pleasing Allah, the dunya is at my feet, bro.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's actually a hadith that says that.
I agree. So if you guys want to, go more into that, check out our episode we're going to do with Musa Adnan, our brother Musa Adnan. It's going to air this weekend on Sunday. Y'all better watch it. Smash the heck out of the like button on that video. Share to all your friends. I'll say this, Rami. This, to me, and this is also what brother Musa Adnan sent me a voice memo today on, we both agree that this is the best episode that we've ever, listened to or been in. Like, one of the best. Like, this was insane, bro. What about you?
Yeah, 100%. Definitely one of the best, mashallah. Alhamdulillah.
100%, 100%. I guess we got 2 minutes left. Any other last minute questions? Let us know. If not, we are going to end the stream. Okay. Is there any ruling in Islam that says it's a must to have kids?
I don't think so. Not that I can think of. There's no ruling in Islam to even get married to begin with. It's just heavily encouraged. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, don't say that you will not get married. Like, don't say I'm not getting married. But it's not fard as far as I know.
When's the tour to UK? Man, when this whole craziness that's happening in the world ends, or at least alleviates, because right now in Canada things are not looking good, then we can leave and we'll definitely visit the UK, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Okay, next question. Where in Canada are you guys in?
Ontario.
There we go. MashaAllah. Okay, Big Man writes, money is so important, but it should never be a priority over your akhirah. 100%.
100%.
Look at the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. Look at the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Uthman radiallahu anhu. Like people had money. The greats, the greatest companions, the greatest Muslims, we had money. We were not poor. I'm not saying, no one is saying being poor, but they had akhirah first. They prioritized akhirah over everything else. And today we have this opposite thing where it's like people are chasing money, but it's like at the expense, like, oh, I have important client calls, I'm gonna get all of them, but I'm not gonna pray until at the end. And now I have 4 prayers to make up. That's not the way. Make time for Allah and just watch how you exceed in this dunya.
Yeah. Inshallah, one day, man. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Where's the third brother? We mentioned at the beginning of the stream, he is traveling at the moment.
Yeah.
Wa yakum.
Wa yakum.
Oof, bro, don't get me started. I believe someone did a comparative essay, a mathematician, about the wealth that Uthman radiallahu anhu had, and it was somewhere along, I believe, 100 billion, or like just billions. Like I don't even want to get into that, but just billions, just numerous, just financial freedom, and that's the level you want to get to when you want to do something like build a mosque or stuff like that. There's no crowdfunding or can you guys help me out with this. You are the source, you are the money. You go around like you're self-sufficient. There's no asking people, no handouts, none of this. And that's the thing. Even if you want to be an imam today, if you want to be a sheikh today, I'm not putting shade on anyone on this when I say this, but to some extent, if you want to belong to an organized I guess affiliated with an organization, you somewhat have to say stuff that they want you to say, and you can't talk too much about things that they don't want you to talk about. One of my friends, he's a sheikh, and he was an imam at different masjids in the UAE for numerous years, 10+ years, and bro, they were literally giving him a script. Like, forget saying what you want to say to on your own thing. He had a script. He couldn't even say what he wanted to say. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the reality of today. Having money gives you freedom to do what you want when you want. And if you have akhirah in your hands already and you're pleasing Allah, then game over. Like, what can you not do with money?
Yeah.
Okay, last minute. Will you make an episode with Brother Hijab? Anyone watching this episode that's made it this far, I want you to go to Muhammad Hijab's channel. I want you to go to his most recent video, whatever it is. I haven't checked in a while, and just spam the comments. No, I'm just playing. Don't spam the comments. 1 comment per person. Just write to Get on the Three Muslims podcast. Just go over there, hit him up, or go on Instagram, find Muhammad Hijab, go on his latest post, and just write that in the comments. We got to get Muhammad Hijab on the podcast. We got everyone else on. We got to get Muhammad Hijab on the podcast, bro. Inshallah. Mufti Menk as well. Numan Ali Khan. Is there anyone else that comes to mind, bro, for you?
Not that I can think of now, to be honest.
Okay, alhamdulillah. All right. Last question. You still going gym? Bro, I'm doing home workouts, man. Gyms are closed. Everything is locked down.
Yeah.
Rami, what about you?
Yeah, same thing. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. MMA is closed too, so
yeah,
it's kind of tough, bro. Just body weight only right now.
Yeah.
All right. And y'all should give Street Dawah a try. Rami, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, inshallah, I agree. We should. I mean, Anhil, he would have to do it himself in Thailand, unfortunately. But I do believe we should. I know some brothers are already making an initiative, like in Toronto and stuff. So inshallah, in the areas that we live in, I think we should, inshallah, definitely give it a try. Maybe once it's warm, so the people we're discussing with don't feel like they have to run away to get into a warm place.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. All right. That being said, it's Friday. What's Friday? It's Jummah Day. Your friendly reminder that if you're a man and you are Muslim and you're trying to better your deen and your closeness to Allah, go to Jummah. It's obligatory. What are you doing? There's no optional. It's not recommended. It's not something that's just you should do it. Like for women, well that's a different story. It's optional for women. For men, it's mandatory. It's obligatory. Go to Jummah, make it happen, and don't use hot sauce, guys. Don't use hot sauce.
طيب. With that being said, اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we got one last question. No, there is no episode with Daniel Hakikachu. There's 2 episodes with Daniel Hakikachu that we dropped a few months ago. So check that out. If you haven't, smash the like button. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.